Hi friends, this video is regarding L298N motor driver module. We will understand how to interface this motor driver module with DC motors and microcontrollers. Microcontrollers are very popular among lot of applications. Always a question arises whether motor spins or motor will burn out Arduino or microcontroller when we connect the DC motor to the I/O pins of a microcontroller. A driving electromotors needs a high current. In addition, spinning direction and speed are two important parameters to be controlled. Here you can find the specification of standard 130 type DC motor. With no load, it draws almost 70 milliamps of current. When it is connected to the load, it draws more than 250 milliamps of current. On the other hand, microcontroller circuit works on low current signals. The absolute maximum for any single I/O pin, for example Arduino Uno, is 40 milliamps. That means an Arduino I/O pin can source or supply maximum of 40 milliamps of current, and it can sink or receive maximum of 40 milliamps of current from the devices connected to its I/O pins. More than this current could burn out I/O pins or Arduino. Motor requires high amount of current, whereas the control circuit works on low current signals. Therefore, you should not connect DC motor to the I/O pins of an Arduino or microcontroller. You need to use a motor driver to interface these two devices. Motor driver acts as an interface between the motors and the control circuit. The function of motor drivers is to take low current control signal and convert it into a high current signal that can drive a motor. There are different types of motor drivers are available, such as L298-3D based motor and L298N based motor driver modules. In this video, we only discuss on L298N motor drivers. This is a high power motor driver perfect for driving DC motor and stepper motors. It uses the popular L298 motor driver IC and has the onboard 5V regulators. It can control up to 4 DC motors in unidirection or 2 DC motors with a bidirectional along with the speed control. This motor driver is perfect for robotics and mechatronics projects, and perfect for controlling motors from microcontrollers, switches, relays, etc. Perfect for driving DC and stepper motors. It is based on H-bridge circuit that can drive a current in either polarity and can controlled by pulse width modulation. Kindly refer my DC motor video for H-bridge configuration. Find the pinout diagram for a motor driver L298N. Set the jumper setting as shown. Connect plus 12V power and ground from any 12V adapter or power supply positive and negative pins. Remember, this power supply should provide power equivalent to the DC motor specifications. And driver plus 12V pin can take up to 7 to 35 volts. Once you supply 12V to the driver, regulated 5V is available at 5V pin. You can use this power to power off any other devices such as Arduino itself. You have 4 output connection, out 1 to out 4, which is used to connect the motors. For example, if you are connecting 2 motors, motor A and B for bidirectional control, connect out 1 and out 2 to motor A, out 3 and out 4 to motor B. There are 4 input pins that are to be connected to the control voltage or logic. A logic high means 5V, low means 0V. If you are controlling a motors from a microcontroller or Arduino, then I/O pins are to be connected to these pins. and can take up to 0 to 36 milliamps of current. Also connect jumper connection as shown for the enable pins. These two enable inputs are provided to enable or disable the devices independently of the input signals. Once you have done with the connection, provide high logic plus 5V to the input pin 1. The motor A runs in one direction. Now provide high logic or input 2, low for the input 1, motor runs in the other direction. Similarly, you can try for the motor B and different sequences of rotation. To achieve the speed control, you need to provide PWM signal for these input pins. For example, if you provide high all the time, motor runs at full speed. If you are providing high and low for equal intervals of time, the motor runs at half speed. Connect a wire to plus 5V pin and make it as a logic voltage. Test the driver and motor for different sequences of rotation and speed. Technical specification for L298N motor driver module is as follows. It has a H-bridge driver chip with a double H-bridge configuration. Logical input voltage to be provided is 5V for a high logic and 0V for a low logic in the range of 0 to 36 milliamps of current. Its output pins can drive motors anywhere between 5V to 35V based on the power supply specification. It can supply a drive current of 2 amps for a single bridge. Always ensure that the current rating of all the motors connected to the driver does not exceed its specified ratings. Also, the power supply to be connected to this driver module also meets these ratings. Try this interconnection to practice the motor driver. Take 4 push buttons with a proper rating and take 4 DC motors. Try to interface this push button with a driver and a motor such a way that when push button 1 is pressed, motor 1 runs. When push button 2 is pressed, motor 2 runs. Similarly 3 and 4. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Give your comments below.